This video is an excerpt from my science fiction novel entitled The Snapdragon Code by Jude Duperre-Duville. Please watch and learn from it. Stan's office was in the other wing of the building facing the woods. It was one of two rooms in the house, one down and one directly above it, that jutted out into a semicircular extension. The design included curved panelled walls that had been stained with a pickled finish, giving the wood a rich yet casual feel. Stan's desk sat in the middle of his office with two chairs facing it. The two men, however, did not sit there. Instead, they moved to the dark green velvet club chairs, which had been swiveled around to face the woods.
Stan, I've been looking into this for a while now, and I didn't want to say anything because I wasn't sure it was a cause for concern. I mean, I still don't really think they understand the implication, but I believe we should at least pay attention to it.
Stan says probingly, thinking this might be something new to worry about.
Tell me what you're talking about in a little more detail, please.
Okay. Now, I don't know if I'm explaining this right, but here goes. You know the satellite they sent out into space some time ago to look out at the edge of the universe? Well, apparently when the cameras rotate at certain angles, they're catching reflections from what looks like the crystalline boundary sheets. I mean, they're not visible when looking at the images at normal magnification. However, when the digital images are enlarged to the max, you can see what appears to be micro-embossing, like holographic film showing diffraction of the camera lights. Our people won't say anything about it, but I'm concerned that some nosy physicist will eventually pick up on it and say, this is evidence of a holographic platform.
Maury, you recognize, as well as I do, that the structures on the boundary are Planck-sized. They're impossible to see. Even if you get close to the boundary, the picture will simply refresh, extending out to a further boundary. There's nothing to worry about. If, in fact, there's a colorful diffraction, we'll call it a new kind of northern lights.
Well, the other thing that worries me even more is this thing with the old Libet experiments. Now, with the even more precise tests by the Japanese groups, well, what these investigators are telling us is that our world could be pre-programmed deterministic, Stan. Now tell me that you know for a fact that that's impossible.
Of course that's impossible. Jetrel assured me this was a trainer program with robust randomicity controls. I saw him insert the program myself.
Then let me ask you this, Stan. Why are you constantly watching the GCP ratios?
Precisely for that reason. I watch them simply to make certain all the ranges are within the norm.
Yes, Stan, but don't you wonder why they rarely, if ever, vary? And when they do vary, it's never beyond a certain limit or time frame?
That's the beauty of this program. It does exactly what it's supposed to do.
At the back of his mind, though, Stan has been worried about the same damn thing for a while now.
I'm not so sure, Stan. Something's not right here, and until I get to the bottom of it, I'm going to keep looking.
Suit yourself, Maury, but in the end you'll see that I'm right.
You'd better be, Stan.
They were being served in the larger formal dining room tonight. The one with the immense oval crystal chandelier with amber crystals and matching amber lights. Because Stan's chef, Renee, was working alone this evening, Evey and Bee had decided to decorate the table for Stan and his guests. A task Stan watched with some interest. Evey set out the fine linens, china and stemware that were kept in the matching hand-carved china cabinets. Of course, always being extra careful not to break anything. The dinner plates were edged in gold, and in the center of each plate there was a cloisoned red dragon with its tongue extended out and curving backwards. Trapped on its tip perched a colorfully painted dragonfly. The extraordinary detail of the image, though beautiful, seemed cryptic, a dragon catching a dragonfly. Perhaps the design came from an historic Chinese pattern that had some meaning to its people. Whatever the case, this china set must have been very expensive to commission, so there was no way these plates would be put in a dishwasher tonight. It didn't take long for the splendid room to sparkle with its red and gold, Chinese-inspired silk wallpaper. Along with its red and cream-striped satin dining chairs and the amber crystal candelabras adorning the matching cherrywood sideboards, the dining room resembled a Newport Mansions. Once Evey moved the fresh flowers from the foyer to the middle of the dining table, nothing else was needed, until Evey saw Renee place a bottle of champagne in the golden ice bucket. That was her cue to immediately pull out the gold-rimmed champagne glasses and position them at each place setting. Perhaps the tablescape was not entirely perfect, but the room was, and with a view of the lake at sunset, it looked truly enchanting. When Renee announced that the meal was ready, Evey was proud to escort Stan and his guests into the room she had just decorated. Were they appreciative? It was hard to say, because this kind of extravagance was not out of place for their day-to-day living. Nothing was over the top, because for them everything was over the top all the time. Yet Tara did notice the gold-rimmed dishes.
Stan, what's the significance of the dragon and the dragonfly on your china? I assume these are custom and the design is some kind of family logo?
Yes, well, it's something I commissioned. The dragon is a logo for the Saturn Corporation, and the dragonfly trapped on his tongue represents a mythical female that has been captured.
And what about the yellow flowers on the edge? What kind of flower is that, do you know?
It's a snapdragon that has entranced the dragon, as well as the dragonfly.
The table, even without its additional extensions, sat 14 people, so there was ample room for everyone, including Adam and Billy. Stan had asked the chef to make a Waldorf salad for the first course. He remembered overhearing Evey tell Bea that the restaurant had served it and she liked it. Before starting their meal, Renee comes into the dining room and uncorks the champagne in an almost ceremonial fashion. He then pours the Piper Rare into each of their glasses.
Hey Evey, can I have some too?
Predictably, of course, everyone at the table laughs over his comment, except for Evey, who seemed a little embarrassed.
Adam, don't be foolish.
Come on, Evey, he's just fooling, right, Adam?
Yeah, Stan, Evey doesn't know how to take a joke.
Stan, may you enjoy many happy days here at Pinelake Manor, and I'm certain that as long as this world is under your control, you surely will.
With that comment, Maury smiles at Stan as though the two have an inside joke they refuse to share with the others. Although the guests at the table find Maury's toast somewhat peculiar, they did not think it outlandish, especially considering Stan's position in the eyes of the world. Predictably, of course, everyone at the table laughs over his comment, except for Evey, who seemed a little embarrassed.
I don't think Stan can control the world, and some people think even God can't. Some people think there's something else altogether that's at play.
Well, once again, everyone at the table starts to laugh at what Adam has just said.
So, Adam, what do you think? Do you think that God controls the world?
If God created the deterministic pilot waves, then yes, he does. Right now, there are physicists who are studying this exact question. These physicists are not in the majority, though. Nevertheless, their ideas could actually solve some of the most difficult problems that physics has been trying to explain for a long, long time. As a matter of fact, some scientists believe it's the only viable explanation for the riddles they've been dealing with. It's an answer for a lot of things, like what really happens in the double-slit experiments or the apparent non-locality proofs in Bell's theorem, as well as demystifying entanglement. You see, Dr. Libet's measurement results may offer us a window into how determinism functions and a whole bunch of other strange puzzles. And if you want to know the truth, I think it's the answer too.
After a few seconds of silence and dumbfounded looks from the adults around the table, Maury asks for the answer. The question seemed innocuous enough, but the answer itself worried him. Here he was, just minutes earlier, talking to Stan about essentially the same thing, and now a 14-year-old kid was maybe about to give him the unwelcomed solution. Maury didn't like coincidences. They made him feel uncomfortable, and this was a big one. Where Maury and Stan came from, quantum machines ran everything AI robotically. Only the techies spent time learning the science. The rest of the people lived in but didn't comprehend what underpinned their holographic environments or heavens. Standard trainer programs limited a player's control of their environment until they were ready emotionally. After that, it allowed them to do just about anything. Snapdragon programs, on the other hand, immersed you in a pre-planned reality that felt completely under your control, except that it wasn't. For the participants, it's impossible to tell the difference between the two. That is the genius of the technology. One operating system responds to your control. The other operating system controls you without your even knowing. The two virtual environments feel eerily similar when you're absorbed in it. Regrettably, Maury and Stan could not live in a world they did not control. It wasn't simply that they needed to control outcomes, although that was important. It's what it signified. If they were not in control, then who was? For a while, Stan had been having his doubts about the program running this HeVen. Now here, sitting in front of him, A 14-year-old boy might be hinting at a possibility that two grown men could not accept.
So, Adam, who do you think controls the world?
It's not necessarily who as much as what. One of the most famous physicists today, I call him the Hoot Owl, says our reality is a form of determinism, and the Pinkster, the lady physicist, calls it superdeterminism. Anyway, there's a certain experiment that I think kind of proves it, called the quantum erasure.
With that said, a pall of silence falls upon the two men, which did not go unnoticed by the women.
But Adam, you said these two physicists are in the minority. I assume there must be a reason why most others disagree, correct?
The majority disagree because they, in the words of Jack Nicholson, can't handle the truth.
Again, starting with Billy and followed by the women, they all start to laugh, but the men not so much.
Anyway, I've started working on an algorithm to the most important problem facing us today, which is P versus NP. If I figure it out, I will win $1 million, and then I can buy myself an XLR sports car. However, a lot of people today feel there is no solution to this problem. Too many gatekeepers, they say, but I just wonder whether we should start working on it from right to left instead of left to right. You know, like a card game. Call the quantum computer's bluff and ask to see its cards.
Okay, kids, let's move on to another subject and start enjoying the delicious meal that Renee worked so hard to make for us.
Tara, Maury's wife, could now see that her husband, as well as Stan, were taken aback by Adam's comments just now, but why, she wonders. Of course, she had no intention of going there once again tonight and decides to try and lighten things up.
So, Adam, I heard you like spending time downstairs playing the games and bowling. Is that what you and Billy are going to do tonight?
Yes, ma'am. Tonight I'm going to beat Billy and Stan.
We're only staying till 9 or 9:30 tonight because Stan has guests and we're sleeping at home tonight.
After the meal, the boys scramble downstairs to play the games, while the adults linger at the table and exchange small talk.
So, Evey, has Stan told you that you remind him an awful lot of a lady friend he used to see? What was her name, Stan?
Her name was Patra, and yes, she did look a lot like Evey.
That's an unusual name.
Actually, her first name was Cleo, and her middle name was Patra, but she preferred using her middle name for some reason.
And whatever happened to Patra?
Just drop it, Maury. No one here is interested in my past, so forget it. Evey, let's go downstairs and see what the boys are up to.
Yes, but make sure Renee doesn't put the china in the dishwasher. I'll tell him and then come right back.
Wow, why is Stan so moody tonight, Evey wonders. He seemed uneasy with what Adam was saying, and then he got annoyed with Maury bringing up that lady from his past. I don't really care if there was someone else, but it's kind of flattering to know that I look like that someone else, Evey thinks. That might explain his apparent interest in me. I look like an old flame of his, I guess.
Time for a movie, everyone? We'll let the kids play games and enjoy themselves alone for a while.